Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. Today I'm reviewing Beach Bum. This is written and directed by Korine and stars Matthew McConaughey, Snoop Dogg, Isla Fisher and a variety of others. And the film really follows the hilarious misadventures of Moondog, played by Matthew McConaughey, a rebellious rogue who always lives his life by his own rules. The film is filled with a variety of things that happen to him along the way. Everything that happens to him doesn't seem to faze him too much. He'll take it in and experience it, but then he sort of lets it go and moves on. It's like he never holds on to anything too tightly. And there's a lot of there's tragedy and a variety of things that happen for him along the way, but he just keeps moving forward. He just keeps being him no matter the circumstances, no matter what's thrown at him. Just a really colourful and interesting character that he plays. If you're familiar with Harmony Korine's stuff as writer and writer-director, you know the stuff's quite quirky, odd, strange, and sometimes controversial. He's most known for writing the script for Kids that was directed by Larry Clark. But the last sort of film was Spring Breakers, and he's done a variety of other things. But I think this is his fully established character in this film. Each one of his films is always a unique and interesting character that's created and crafted, and he brings in an interesting actor to bring that character to life and add their own spin and a variety of things to it. And this is probably the best example of that. I think that Matthew McConaughey is fantastic. This is another great character to add to McConaughey's growing repertoire as playing unique and interesting characters and bringing something different to him. Moondog is the most original and refreshing character I've seen in a number of years. I think he's unique and interesting. He lives by, like he said at the beginning, he lives by his own rules. He does what he thinks is right. Money and fame and that doesn't really interest him that much. The only things that bring him joy are his daughter, smoking weed, and writing poetry. He's a poet. He's a beautiful poet. He's a unique and enigmatic character that's profound and kind of genius-like, but not to the outside world. And it's just, I love the creation of his character. I love the way that McConaughey plays him. I love the look of the character with long blonde hair, and he has these weird glasses he flips up, and he always has to have reading glasses on when he reads things, and he has this typewriter, and when we first meet him he wears these sort of flamboyant sort of Hawaiian-ish clothes, like shirts and pants that match, and he just goes from thing to thing. And as the film goes along he starts wearing dresses. And it works for the character. It's such a unique take on this character, and I just think McConaughey did a fantastic job. Story-wise, this isn't a fantastic film. Like a lot of other Korine films, they're kind of about this one person. It's a fly on the wall look at this particular person and their life. And that's exactly what this film is. And also, like his other films, there's a weird tone to the film, a weird feeling to it. There's things that happen that are quite shocking, but he sort of makes them feel a bit more comical. Like Isla Fisher's in it, and her character something happens to her character, and it's such a shocking thing to happen. But the way that Korine plays it, it just sort of comes off as kind of comical and strange. I don't know if that quite works. And later in the film, Martin Lawrence appears, and he ultimately plays this sort of sea captain sort of guy that takes out these crappy boats to tourists to show them around the waters and show them dolphins. And there's this sequence where he's trying to convince them to go in the water, and he goes for a swim, and it turns out they're not actually dolphins he's swimming in with, their sharks, and he loses a foot. And but it plays like a real comical moment. I think maybe that's a contributing thing to the particular character, because Moondog's who we see the world through, so everything he sees, we see and experience. And maybe it's through his eyes that we see these strange things happen, but he sees them more as a comical thing than something as tragic. It's filled with a variety of cameos. Martin Lawrence, like I said, Zac Efron appears. Snoop Dogg's kind of interesting and plays a character that's very similar to himself, I think, in many ways. Warren Buffett's in it, the musician. There's just a variety of people who keep popping up throughout it just to add a little moments throughout the film. But really, at the heart of this film, at the center of this film that makes it most interesting, captivating, is McConaughey's performance and the character of Moondog. This is the real draw to this film. Don't go into this film expecting an extraordinary and profound story, because it's not really that. There are moments of that, but all the moments of the profoundness and the uniqueness comes from Moondog himself and the experiences that he has. He's a character who lives in the moment, and he just goes day by day, moment by moment, and he just does the things he wants to do that inspire him, interest him. He comes across as weird and quirky, and people don't know how to take him sometimes, and they don't quite see the uniqueness and the genius that he is, because he sort of clouds it by the way he looks and speaks and acts. That's sort of outside things. I kind of really like that. I guess his quest or his journey in the film is to come to terms with a particular event that happened, and in order to receive something, he has to finish a book. He has to finish a book of poetry, something he's been putting off. And there's a lot of detours in the films and consequences to his actions. But ultimately, it's him working towards writing this book. And he does it in a unique and interesting way. And he starts to craft this thing, and from doing it, no one believed he could do it. And from doing it, he becomes, he ultimately gets to where he wants to be, but he's still himself. It's kind of, it's just a fascinating film in that regard. And the antics that he gets up to, he smashes up a house, he ends up living on the beach with all these other bums, and it's just really well done in that aspect. He doesn't apologize for who he is. He just is who he is, and he accepts that no matter what happens, no matter what people think of him, he accepts who he is. He doesn't have a real drive to be successful. He doesn't really want to accomplish anything. Writing's the thing he loves. But he does it because he wants to do it, not because he wants to make money from it. Even though as the film goes along, he has that opportunity. It just feels like Harmony Korine just likes to create really unique and interesting characters, throws you into a world, and it's just about the journey that these characters go on, and the experiences that they have, and who they are as people. And in many ways, Moondog is like a spiritual character. He's like a centered character, a character that just goes with things. Nothing really upsets him or angers him. He comes to terms with things really quickly. He's able to let go of things. In a way, you could see him kind of like the dude from The Big Lebowski, a much different character and very separate from the dude, but they're both men of their time and their period, and they work within the worlds that they're inhabiting. Sort of Zen-like in many ways, both the characters. And I really love that aspect to this film, is that spiritualness to Moondog. Final thoughts. In the end, this is really a character study. It's looking at this particular man, who he is. He's a likable character. Even though he doesn't have a drive to do anything, he's very likable. You like him, you want to see him succeed at the small things he wants to do. You want to have that kind of freedom that character does. You want to be able to accept who you are and not give a shit what anyone else thinks. And I think this film really captures that. Looks at a misunderstood, unique and interesting, talented person who lives a life on their own terms. I'm going to give Beach Bum 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was an interesting film, a great character study. Mcconaughey was fantastic, and it was just a great fly-on-the-wall film that had kind of a little profoundness in the smallest amount. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit subscribe down the bottom. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.